Hello and welcome to the Daily Fabric Fondle here at Cottonweeds Quilt Shop in Freeport, Maine. Today, we're going to see what Lori is doing. That's me! Today, I am making a pillowcase. We here at Cottonweeds Quilt Shop are a drop-off spot for the Ryan Smiles pillowcase donations. These go to children who are in the hospital and are receiving treatments at various hospitals in the area. And the pattern I love to use when I make a pillowcase is called the Hot Diggity Dog pillowcase. The only credit I can find for this particular pattern is that it is from the Ronald McDonald House Charities in Cincinnati. But if you Google Hot Diggity Dog pillowcase, this is the first one that usually comes up in the search, and it is a great pattern. So that's the pattern we're going to be demonstrating today. I'm going to use the camping crew fabric that we have from RJR Fabrics. This is going to be the main body of the pillowcase, and this is going to be the cuff. I don't usually make my pillowcases with bands because I just don't. Doesn't matter if you use a band or not. You should use 100% cotton. So we're going to start some cutting. We need 26 inches by 41 inches for the main pillowcase. And we need, the pattern says 9 inches, but because I'm not doing a band, I'm going to do 10 inches by 41 inches. So here is my main body to be cut at 26 inches. Now I folded my fabric in half, and I'm going to cut it at the 20.5 mark on my cutting mat, and that'll give me the 41 inches that I need for the main body. And here is my 10-inch cut for the cuff of my pillowcase. 10 inches, and I'll make my cut there. And again, because my fabric is folded in half and I need 41 inches, I'm going to make a cut at the 20.5-inch mark. Everything is cut and we're ready to sew. We've got our sewing machine, we've got pins, we've got the pattern, and we've got our 2 pieces of fabric cut. Let's make a pillowcase. I've laid the cuff fabric right side up, and I'm going to put the main fabric right side down and line it up along the 41-inch side. And then I'm going to pin right across the whole entire 41-inch side, right sides together, cuff and main fabric. Here we go. Here comes the fun part. We're going to make our hot dog and our bun. Okay, so I've got my edge pinned. That's the cuff to the main fabric, right sides together. I am now going to make the hot dog. What you do is you start at the bottom of the main fabric here, and we're going to fold it up so that it is just below where we've pinned. And I am trying to do this one-handed. I am sorry. I am my own videographer today. Okay. Nice. So we've got, now the main fabric is right sides up, and I've folded it just from the bottom edge up to just below where it's pinned. We're going to again go to the bottom, and we're just going to loosely roll this up. Again, just the main fabric. So we've got the cuff still flat against the table, and my main fabric is now a hot dog. So it's rolled up to a little bit below where the pins are. We've got our hot dog, now we need a bun. The cuff is going to be the bun. So you take the bottom of the cuff, we're going to roll it over the hot dog so that its raw edge matches where we've already pinned. So now I've got it lined up. I have 3 layers. I've got the cuff, the main fabric, and the cuff again. We've got 2 of those layers already pinned. We've brought the bottom of the cuff over my hot dog to make a bun. Now I'm going to just take where the pins are, and I'm going to just repin it in the same spot so that it includes the bun. Make sure you don't pin the hot dog in there, okay? Just the bun to what's already pinned. So you have 3 layers of fabric. So I've repinned the bottom of the cuff up to where the cuff and the main fabric were already pinned. I've just added that layer into my hot dog bun situation. So inside here is the hot dog. See my hot dog all rolled up? Not in the pin, it is loose. Awesome. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna sew along this edge with the pins. Remember, you have 3 layers of fabric here, so make sure your 3 layers stay together as you are sewing with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I've got my blue tape here that shows me where my 1/4 inch seam allowance will be if I keep this fabric right along the blue tape as I sew. I've got my presser foot down, and I'm going to do a quick forward and backward stitch to start. And now I'm going to sew all the way down the bun, all the way to the end. Once in a while checking to make sure all my 3 layers are together. All done. So I've sewed up the edge where I had it pinned. So now I have a long tube of fabric, the bun, and inside is the hot dog. And now comes the super fun part. We're gonna pull the hot dog out of the bun. Here's my hot dog. I'm going to pull it and keep pulling and pulling the hot dog out until it is totally out of the tube, our bun. So I'm just going to keep tugging and pulling and tugging and pulling until this hot dog comes completely out of the tube. Still pulling. I'm going to keep on pulling until it's completely out of the tube. Keep pulling and keep pulling. Here's what you should have after your hot dog comes out of the bun. You have basically what looks like a giant pillowcase with a cuff. And the cuff is the tube. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to head to the iron and we're going to press these seams flat. We're going to press all along the seam up to the fold. We're going to do this all the way down on this side, and then we're going to flip it over and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. That will set this seam for us. And so now I'm on the other side of my pillowcase and pressing the seam on this side as well. Okay, now we go back to our sewing station. Here's my pillowcase. I am now going to fold it in half with wrong sides together. Mind blown. Yes, wrong sides together. So we're going to fold it like this. And I'm going to even out the sides. And I'm going to pin. I'm going to pin, not this part. This is where the pillow goes in. I'm going to leave that open. We're going to pin along this side and along the bottom. And that is where we're going to stitch again with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I folded it in half. It actually looks like a pillowcase now. Trust the system. We are going to stitch wrong sides together. Here's my pillowcase pinned along the side and along the bottom. We're going to bring this now to the sewing machine and sew along those sides, 1/4 inch seam allowance. Here's our pillowcase. Here's the seam I just sewed on the side, along the bottom. We are now going to turn our pillowcase inside out and go to our iron, and we're going to press the seams. I'm now just pressing the seam to set it. I'm going to do that all along the 2 sides that I stitched. All right, here's my inside out pillowcase. I've pressed the seams, and as if we haven't already had enough fun, here is another super fun part of this pillowcase. We are now going to stitch along. So here's my side stitch along this edge and up the bottom. We are going to do another stitch, but instead of a 1/4 inch seam allowance, we are going to do, I believe the pattern says 3/8. I say let's get crazy and do a 1/2 inch. So what we're doing is, if you feel right here, that's our 1/4 inch seam. We're gonna stitch past the 1/4 inch seam so that it creates like a little house for the seam on the other side of our pillowcase. And that way, when you right side out the pillowcase, you don't have any exposed seams, which means no fraying, and it's really a pretty snazzy design. So that's what we're going to do now. The pattern says 3/8 of an inch to sew down, but I'm going to do a 1/2 inch. And we're going to sew again. This is where I've stitched on the other side. Oh, nope, that's the fold. Just kidding, this is where I stitched on the other side. So we're going to stitch across the top here and down the bottom. 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I've stitched all the way around with my 1/2 inch seam along the side and along the bottom. And now we're going to right side out the pillowcase. And here's our finished pillowcase. And check out, the best thing about it is on the inside of the pillowcase, there is no raw edges on the seams. Let's see if we can get a better picture of that. Check it out, there's my seam. No raw edges equals no fraying when you wash it. Isn't that great? It is so fun to make pillowcases the hot dog way. This is gonna make someone super excited. So again, we donate to Ryan's Smiles, Ryan's Cases for Smiles. We are a drop-off point here at Cottonweed's Quilt Shop. So if you need a break from making masks, make a couple pillowcases, bring them by. We'll make sure that they get distributed. This pattern again is called the Hot Diggity Dog pillowcase. If you Google search that, it should come right up. And what I'm going to do now is I will take this home and wash and dry it and put it in a Ziploc bag That is a preferred way for them to receive their pillowcases if you can do that. Wash, dry, and iron, and then into a Ziploc bag. So thanks for helping out kids in the hospital. And making a pillowcase is pretty quick, simple, fun project to use up some of that stash or to come to Cottonweeds and get some more. Thanks for joining us on the Daily Fabric Fondle.